As a caregiver, one of the scariest parts of my husband's stroke recovery journey is when he was getting ready to be discharged from the hospital and preparing to come home. Now, I know this is a good thing. This is what we've been waiting for, what we've been praying for. I should be thankful. I should be overjoyed. And yes, I was. But you can't ignore the fact that I felt this overwhelming sense of dread, fear, anxiety, and what am I supposed to do now? So, here are two things that our family did to prepare for my husband coming home from the hospital. Now, this is not just specific to stroke recovery. This could be for anyone, any loved one who is in the hospital for an extended period of time and you're unsure or feeling anxious about how to ensure a smooth transition home. First, prepare the home. Do what you can do to prepare a clean, calm, and clutter free home for your loved one who's been in the hospital. Clean, clean the home. If you don't have time to clean the entire home, then the areas of the home that your loved one will be using the most, such as the bedroom, the washroom, and the kitchen, that should be the bare minimum. Clean those areas. When my husband and I, when we go away, even if it's for a short weekend trip, we always make a habit of cleaning our home before we leave so that when we come home, we have just a calm, clean, quiet space to come home to. And whenever we come home, the first thing we say is, home sweet home. So do what you can to curate that calm, inviting, warm environment. Create a home that your stroke survivor or your loved one wants to come home to. Calm. Create a calm and peaceful environment, whatever that looks like for your family. For us, it was keeping the volume down. And for us at that particular season, it was removing any distractions. I may have mentioned before that we had just moved into this house a week and a half before my husband had his stroke. And the day that we got our keys is when we started getting new flooring and new carpeting, and getting the house painted from top to bottom. So there were a lot of things that needed to be done. My husband was working on some projects around the house, such as changing out all the ceiling lights, the ceiling fans, and changing it into the LED lights. He bought new smoke detectors and he wanted to install all of those in. And he bought a whole bunch from Costco, and he did most of it, but he was going to finish up the rest after his swim on the day that he had his stroke. And of course, he never got to it. And so just seeing those unopened boxes of lights and the projects that he was going to do, it was just a slap in the face reminder that we didn't need. It would have been a distraction. I know my husband, he would have come home, and if he saw all that, it would have really hit him hard that I couldn't, I left this undone. I couldn't finish it. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to finish it. So my son and I, one night, like we were just so sick of seeing all that. We just packed it up. We went back to Costco and we returned all the unopened boxes because we wanted to remove that distraction. We wanted to just kind of forget about it. Create a clutter-free home. Our family has been living as minimalists for the past 5, 6, maybe 7 years now, and it has changed our lives for the better. So we don't have a lot of clutter to begin with, and especially since we didn't unpack a lot of our boxes, we really didn't have a lot of belongings out. But it was really important to me that I got rid of all visual clutter, anything that would increase stress, increase anxiety, or just take away our peace. I have a lot to say about minimalism and clutter and how it affects our mind. But that's another video for another day. But I'm just going to say this one thing: clutter affects our brain. Safety, that's a given as well. So we did a walk through the house and we just, tried to see if there were any tripping hazards or anything that might be a potential threat or dangerous for my husband, then we just put it away, especially all tools that he had been using. We put them all away in the garage so that he couldn't get into it. Another thing was razors. He was on blood thinners, so we wanted to make sure that, just out of habit, he would pull out his razor and try to shave. So we bought him one of those electric razors for him to use. We put away all knives and box cutters and anything that could have been potentially dangerous for him. And the last thing in preparing your home is food. Make sure that you've got, healthy foods and meals prepped in advance. And this is something that, all those people who are saying, let me know if you need something. This is an area that you can ask for help, just to help buy some groceries or some fresh fruit and vegetables, or to prepare some meals in advance. So these are just a few of the things that we did to prepare our home. Next, we had to prepare ourselves. We had no idea what to expect. So we had a number of family meetings. I think we had maybe 2 or 3 family meetings the week prior to my husband coming home. We have 3 children. At the time, they were all in university, full-time university. They all had part-time jobs, and they even were involved in volunteer activities as well. So their schedule, because it was October, I wasn't really familiar with their new schedule for the year. So we had a sit-down meeting, and we walked through our schedule, and we wrote everything down. And then my daughter took everyone's schedule, and then she typed it up and made it into a weekly schedule, so that we made sure that my husband was not at home alone for more than an hour or so. And so we all had that expectation that this is a steep learning curve for all of us. This is the first time any of us are experiencing anything like this, and we all needed to step up and do what we can. During that time, unless it was school or work or volunteer activities, the kids really stepped up, and they made sure that they were home as soon as they can come home, and not just physically be here, but to be very present and to spend time with the family, to sit down with us during meals or conversations, and to really spend some time with their dad as well. So during our family meetings, we talked a lot about what are some things that might come up, what are some things that we might have to change or put on hold temporarily for now. And it was just a safe space for us to ask questions and, talk about what if scenarios, and also to just, to express our fears. Communication. This is a really big thing. We needed to find ways and set up ways that we can communicate more effectively, especially for urgent texts. We've always had a family chat room in one of the apps that we use. And, sometimes when there's a lot of text messages that come in, sometimes we don't get to it right away, or we don't look at it right away. But we said, for the time being, like, let's just limit these texts to really urgent, important information, not just, silly photos or videos or things like that, just for most important things only. And if it's really urgent, we would put like, all in capital letters, urgent or important, or please read, just to signal that this is really important. And we had decided amongst ourselves, once we read the text, we would put an emoji like a thumbs up or a heart or something to signal that, yes, I have read and understood that text. It may seem like a little thing, but in the first few months that my husband was home, there were a lot of important announcements and messages that had to be passed throughout the family, and that was a game changer for us, even though it's a small thing. Another thing is, because we all use iPhones and we all had the app called Find My, we synced all of our iPhones so that we can track where we all are at all times. And we never did this before. We never tracked our kids. And the fact that they were willing to do this and understood why it was so important, it I didn't take that lightly. I never took that for granted. We are so thankful. At any moment, if I need to know who's the closest to home right now, then, I can call that person. To wrap up, the two main things we did was to prepare the home and to prepare ourselves. But I just want to say, no matter how much you prepare, nothing is going to prepare you for this until your loved one actually comes home. It's like for new parents, when you have a baby, you're happy, you're excited, you're looking forward to going home, but it is so scary. And even though you've got, the nursery ready, the crib ready, and the bottles and the diapers, even though you have all of those things prepared, nothing is going to prepare you for when you bring that baby home. Likewise, when you bring a stroke survivor or a loved one who's been in the hospital for an extended period of time, you can do all the things, you can, check everything off of your checklist, but until the moment that they walk through that door, that's when you're going to have to face things one moment at a time. I heard this a lot. Take it one day at a time, one day at a time. I never liked that phrase, during that time, and I still don't like it because when you are in this season, one day is too daunting. It is too overwhelming. You think, how in the world will I get through this day? So I took it moment by moment. And my goal was to get through this moment. And when I got through that, I pat myself on the back and then, okay, let's get through the next moment. Pat myself on the back and so forth. Show yourself some grace because you can't do everything because nothing is going to prepare you for this. But these are a few things that you can do. Control the controllables. These things are under your control. So these are things that you can definitely do in advance. If you can't do it yourself, then ask for help. And if you have any tips on how to prepare for hospital discharge, then please drop it in the comments below so that we can share our experiences and share our ideas for others who may be going through this difficult season. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.